just cover it with a tea towel and that will just aid it. I don't know how, really, let's just leave the tea towel. I don't think it's doing anything. Put the tea towel in the drawer. I don't think we need the tea towel. I've never used a tea towel. Just made it up. Today I'm going to show you how to make Bidda. They are fluffy, light, beautiful flatbreads to put your kebabs into, your roasted vegetables, your fried helim, whatever you want. I am here for your Bidda needs. So here we go. Okay, there are 1,000,001, maybe 1,000,002 flatbread recipes out there. We've all got our favourites. I think the difference with this one is that we've got both milk and yoghurt in there, as well as the standard milk. There's yeast, sugar, some salt to balance out the sweetness too. They are just super simple to make, but I want to show you how much lighter they are just by using things like the milk and yoghurt in there. So let's get cracking. So the first thing we're going to do is activate the yeast. So I'm going to add the liquid ingredients into this jug. So I've got 125 millilitres of warm water and 100 millilitres of warm milk. So into that warm liquid, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of caster sugar. Give that a good stir so that the sugar dissolves. And once the sugar is dissolved, we're just going to pour the dry active yeast. I'm not using fresh yeast here, so I've got a sachet full, which is about 7 grams of dry active yeast, which I'm just going to pop in there. I'm going to try to avoid stirring it, and I'm just going to hope that it activates itself. So try and leave it alone if you can. If you start stirring it, you're going to get the yeast and the liquid all stuck on the spoon, and then you won't have all the ingredients that you need in that jug. So we're going to leave that for 5 minutes. Take a chill. Okay, so while the yeast is chilling, but technically not chilling because it's working quite hard to activate in there, we're going to get the rest of the ingredients ready. I've got 500 grams of strong white bread flour here. Now, I use bread flour because it really does aid in that lovely light and fluffy texture you get when making any bread recipe. So I've got that here, as well as some salt, which is also going to go in, just 1 teaspoon of salt, and we've got some yogurt and olive oil, and that's it. So once the yeast has started to activate, we're going to then get those ingredients in here and then pour the activated liquid into these dry ingredients with the yogurt and the olive oil and mix it all up and get it ready and proofed. Okay, so the yeast has definitely activated now. It's been sitting there for about 5 minutes. You can tell it's activated. It's light and frothy and bubbly, and it's ready to be added to the rest of the ingredients to make the dough, which is exactly what we're going to do now. So into the bread flour, I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. Do not add your salt to that liquid. It has to go in with the dry ingredients, otherwise the salt will kill off the activation process in there. So stir that salt in, and then we're going to plonk the yoghurt in. Nice and simple like that. Plonk is 100% the technical term. In fact, I think you'll find it written on my recipe as well. I use all the best lingo for my recipes. Give that a gentle stir, because I'm actually going to knead the dough with my hands today. I'm not going to use a stand mixer or a mixer with dough hooks, so we're doing it old school. So give that a gentle stir. Same with the olive oil. We're going in with 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Nice and gutsy. My mum always adds olive oil to her flatbreads, just as her great-grandmother did. So we're going to give that a nice stir. Again, not too much, just to mix those ingredients in. We're going to have a bit stuck on the spoon. So get that off as follows. And then we're going to go in with your activated liquid. Just straight in there into the middle. If you make like a little well, you can see that frothy yeast going in. If you've got anything stuck in the jug, pour that into, and that smells like proper activated yeast as well, so you know it's done its thing. Right, we're going to gradually get our hands involved as well, so give it a gentle stir, and then we're going to get stuck in. Turn that off there. So my mum has always made Bidda at home. In fact, when we were kids, anytime she was making anything with dough, like börek, or flatbreads like these Bidda, she would always give us a bit of dough to play with, whether to make our own Bidda or our own börek. And this is a variation of that recipe. She would use and she still does, uses a much more simple recipe of essentially flour, water, and some olive oil to bring it all together, and some salt and sugar. But the milk and the yogurt are our additions that I've added, and I often add milk to my bread recipes. I find that it really lightens the lovely fluffy interior of a loaf. So I do like a bit of milk in a bread recipe. So I have here, I'm going to tip that onto the surface. I do have here some extra flour to add, but I don't think we're going to need it. My recipes are spot on. So we're just going to keep kneading this to get the dough to the exact consistency that we need. Listen, when you work with dough, it can be a bit temperamental because things like the weather can have an impact. You know, being a few millilitres out here and there shouldn't too much. But just be aware that making dough in the winter might be different to when you're making it in the summer, and the same with the proofing process, which is why you need to proof the dough somewhere nice and cosy and warm, especially if you're making these flatbreads or any kind of dough in the kind of depths of winter. Keep working the dough. There are various methods. God knows if I'm using the right one. I don't care, it's fine. Just go with it, push it, stretch it, get that gluten working, get everything working together to a lovely smooth ball. But don't stop for about a good 10 minutes or so, especially if you're doing it by hand. Slap it down. Please don't show. Okay, I'm gonna I don't know why I said that. Okay, so I've got a nice smooth ball now. You want to tuck the sides under, and you've got a nice smooth shape on top. And what we're going to do, we're going to pop that back into the bowl we used earlier. Just pop a little bit of olive oil in there so that the dough doesn't stick to the bottom. Give that a little smooth around. And then do the same to the top of the dough, a little gentle massage. So smooth the dough over like this, and then we're going to pop the dough back into the bowl. Okay, so what I like to do is cover the bowl with cling film and a tea towel, and then it needs to go somewhere nice and cosy to proof. So I find that sometimes I'll preheat my oven to the lowest setting, turn it off, and then I'll pop the bowl in there. We're talking kind of 25 to 35 degrees centigrade, nothing hotter than that. Or if you've got a nice cosy airing cupboard or somewhere like that to leave it, then do that. Now it can take for anything from up to, I would say, give it a good hour, if not an hour and a half. It has to double in size, if not more. Okay, so our lovely fluffy Bidda dough has proofed now. So I'm going to take it out of the oven and we're going to shape it and get it ready for the next part of the process. This is what you want, a lovely light and fluffy dough. You don't want a floury dough here, otherwise the flour will burn in the pan when it's cooking. So we're actually going to shape the dough into 6 equal sized balls now, using olive oil to shape them with rather than any flour. And it'll be fine, trust me, it won't stick, it's perfect. So roughly, say 140 to 145 grams per piece of dough, so 6 equal pieces of dough. I'm using my very technical dough cutter, which is a saucer or a side plate, it's fine, either or. Just shy off, so we're going to put another 20 grams or so on top. Perfect, 141. You don't need to roll them yet, just get them into those sizes. Okay, like I said, the dough won't stick, but what you do want is just to oil them ever so slightly so that when they hit the pan, they don't burn. So just oil your hands, or oil the dough ever so slightly, give them a good little spin like so on the worktop using the palm of your hand. And then once they're nice and smooth, just move on to the next one. Tuck the sides under like you did when you made the big ball of dough earlier. Okay, that's the last one done now. So once you've got those 6 lovely smooth balls all rolled out, just set them aside on your counter, like so, giving them space to rise again, because they will puff up again. So we're going to keep them nice and cosy, just with a tea towel this time, about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll come back, roll them out and get them into a hot pan. So the dough balls have now been proofing for another 25 to 30 minutes, and they are ready now to be rolled. So they have proofed again, they've risen again, they've puffed up again. And what I love about this part is when you start to roll them out and you can see the bubbles kind of coming out as you roll them. And I just want to show you a really simple rolling method to ensure that you get a nice circular shape or a disc shape to the dough. So I'm going to move these out of the way because I don't want to knock them while I'm rolling the rest. Start gently. You can use the back of your hand to flatten it, but you don't need to, just go lightly. You start from the back of the dough, look at that, puffing up. Woohoo! go forward and give it a little 45-degree turn. Push again, in the back, going in. Give it another little 45-degree turn. And just keep rolling out like this. So one last roll, and you've got a nice, doesn't have to be perfect, but a nice circular dish shape, around 20 centimetres in diameter. Now get your pan hot, medium heat really. And once it's hot, I'm going to add the dough to the pan. I'm going to wait for bubbles to appear on the surface, and that's when you know that you're ready to flip it over. Can't wait. Right, so we're going to go straight in with the Bidda, straight into the pan like this. No oil in the pan, no flour, no additional flour, just that Bidda, that rolled dough straight into the pan as so. And once you start to see some bubbles appearing on the top, and it will aerate, it's amazing to watch, then you have a little look on the underside. If it's nice and golden brown and it's got some bubbly brown bits to it, then you can flip it over. Again, don't rush it, let it cook slowly, otherwise the inside will be raw. No one wants to eat raw dough, we want a nice fluffy, pillowy Bidda. Okay, so as soon as those lovely bubbles appear on top, have a little look, gently, carefully, and then flip it straight over. And then you want those bubbles to cook underneath, the Bidda to cook through the middle, so it's lovely, pillowy and soft. Okay, so here they all are. And as you know, I will have to do the Bidda test. I'm going to take one from underneath because the top one's really, they're all really hot still in fact. Take it up, fold it up. Oh yeah, it's really hot. But look at that. I mean, super soft, super fluffy, perfect. Dip it into the hummus, the cacik, the esme recipes are already on my YouTube channel. Dip it into whatever you want to dip it into. Fill it up with whatever you want to fill it up with, but make them. They are brilliant, and I hope you enjoy eating them as much as we do. In fact, I'm gonna do it. Got to do it properly. My goodness me, super soft, amazing.